Welcome back to Jules Math Tools, where math is made easy. In this session, we are calculating the sum of our fractions with unlike denominators, and we will be using the lowest common denominator method. And if you're ready to see how this is done, let's get started. In this session, we will be calculating our fractions when we are using the lowest common denominator method. Now, to use this method, the first thing we need to do is identify the numbers that are in our denominators. And remember that the numbers in your denominators will be the numbers that are in the bottom part of your fraction, which is 12 and 6. To identify the lowest common denominator, which is also known as the lowest common multiple of 6 and 12, we can go through their respective timetable. So I will be doing that for this example to show you how you can find the LCD of 12 and 6. So let's begin with our number 6. And I'm going to begin by listing the first four multiples of our numbers. So for 6, I have 6 times 1 is 6. 6 times 2 is 12. 6 times 3 is 18. And 6 times 4 is 24. Now I'm going to do the same thing with 12. We have 12 times 1 is 12. 12 times 2 is 24. 12 times 3 is 36. And 12 times 4 is 48. So these will be the numbers in our denominators multiples, which we're going to use to change the fractions into their equivalent form. So in finding the lowest common denominator, I'm looking for the lowest or the smallest number that these two multiples have in common. And I can see that in both 12 and 6, their lowest common multiple is 12. So now that I've identified that the LCM or the LCD of these numbers is equal to 12, I'm now going to convert both fractions into their equivalent form where they have 12 in the denominator. So for that part of the working, I will do that at the side before I dive back into my working. Now remember that I'm only doing the working at the side so that my persons who may not be strong in this area will be able to see how we change our fractions from one form into the other. But remember that if you're at that stage where you can do all of the working on the question and then move to the next step, by all means feel free to do that. So remember that we're changing both fractions to a denominator of 12. So I'm looking at multiplying, or I'm looking at how I change from 12 to 12. And I know that with 12 times 1, I'm going to get 12. So since I multiplied the number in my denominator by 1, I will also multiply my numerator by 1. So 5 times 1 will equal to 5. So my first fraction in its equivalent form will equal to 5/12. So now that I have changed my first fraction into its equivalent form, I'm now going to do the exact same thing with my second fraction. So I have 2/6, and I need to change my denominator into 12. So I know that when 6 is multiplied by 2, it will change to 12. So I will also multiply my numerator by 2 as well. And 2 times 2 is equal to 4. So my second fraction of 2/6 in its equivalent form will equal to 4/12. So now that we have converted both fractions into their equivalent form, now I can go ahead and work on my numerators. So remember that our denominator will stay the same, and I will just be adding 5 plus 4, which will equal to 9/12. And since my fraction also can be simplified a little bit further, I'm also going to do that. So with 9 and 12, I know that they have a common factor in 3. And I'm going to use that common factor to reduce or simplify my fraction into its lowest term. So when I divide 9 by 3, I will get 3 in my numerator. And when 12 is divided by 3, I will get 4 in my denominator. And this will be my answer in its simplest form. So my solution to my fractions will be 3/4. Okay, so there you have it. We just calculate the sum of our fractions using the LCD, or the lowest common denominator method. And remember that this step just requires you knowing your timetable, finding their lowest common multiple or lowest common denominator, and then converting our fractions into their equivalent forms before you begin your calculations. But as always, remember you have to get some practice in so that you can develop your skills. And remember that I do have more videos to load on this topic, so make sure you turn back to Joe's Math Tools, where the aim is to make math easy.